Hello everyone, welcome back to the Warlock of Firetop Mountain. The last time we were here, we took our spear-wielding adventurer, Lunica Icardi, into the tunnels beneath Firetop Mountain, in search of some kind of amulet which was being held by a guy who likes fire. We did track the guy down, after a few missteps along the way, mostly involving trying to liberate people from indentured servitude, which didn't go all that well for us most of the time. We had to kill some people we didn't want to kill, and we got smacked around a bit on the way. But eventually we did find the fire guy, inside the School of Sorcery, which is mysteriously hidden in the depths of this dungeon. And we thought we had the amulet, but it turned out to be a decoy, and the real amulet is in the possession of Zagor, the Warlock of Firetop Mountain himself. We were then temporarily incapacitated by magic and chucked in the river, where the cold water woke us up. Well, kind of the process of drowning woke us up, and we managed to paddle to shore where we washed up on this underground beach, and we're now faced by a selection of structures. We have to go and find the Warlock himself to finally get this amulet back from him, but we don't know exactly where he's hiding or what lies between us and him. I don't know how far through the adventure we are here. My guess is that we're halfway through or less, but for all I know, the Warlock could be standing on the other side of one of these doors right here. So let's just press on and see what today brings us. So to recap the last bit of text that we saw before the end of the previous episode, reaching the shore you pull yourself out of the water, coughing and spluttering. Giving yourself a few moments, you then get to your feet and find yourself standing in the large underground cavern. The most striking thing is a massive structure ahead of you, built into the cave wall itself. It emanates a feeling of dread as it looms over the riverbank. The building dreads us. Good. To the right of the huge structure is a smaller but still imposing building in the cave wall. To the left is a small wooden shack, probably large enough to house the living quarters for a single person. Directly to your right is a wooden building that sits next to a bridge, snaking off into the distance behind you. It looks like I'm going to have to hunt down Zagor if I'm going to get my hands on the amulet. That large building ahead looks like a likely candidate for a Warlock's lair. So this is where we left off last time, with these options. So we've got this shack to the left, which is big enough for one person to live in. A huge, imposing structure straight ahead. A smaller but still pretty big structure to the right. A wooden building of some sort next to this sort of plank bridge that's next to us. And then the bridge itself, which stretches off behind. So I feel like probably the big structure is the most likely candidate to lead us to the Warlock, but we might as well nose around this area a bit first. So I think let's start in this shack, because that's the least likely to lead to a series of other passages, if you see what I mean. So we'll look in this little shack. Who lives in here? You walk across the sandy riverbank leading to the nearby shack. There is a door leading into the shack which seems to be unlocked. Let's go in. You're in a small, foul-smelling room. You notice two doors, one to the west and one behind you to the south. The furniture in the room is sparse and has been made mostly from bits of old boats. That's dedication to a theme. I mean, you live on a riverbank and you're so dedicated to that riverbank aesthetic that you make all of your furnishings out of boats. There appears to be nothing of value in the room, but your keen eye ability notices a bunch of keys hanging on the wall. An old man in ragged clothes is slumped to sleep on a bench, in inverted commas, made from half a rowing boat, snoring loudly. This is the second snoring person we've encountered in this adventure so far. At least this time it's not described as rasping the way it was before. Ugh, there's also a dog, apparently. It didn't mention the dog. And this guy doesn't look asleep. He looks passed out or murdered. Next to him is a vicious-looking brown dog with red eyes and black teeth. You need to brush. which you have awoken and that is now eyeing you suspiciously. A deep growl is coming from its throat. I don't like the look of that dog, says Lunica Accardi. Well, we can knock on the door, which we've already walked in through, to wake the old guy up. We can leap across the room and stab the dog. Or we can just back quietly out. So far as I remember, this is the first non-orc, non-goblin creature we've met who doesn't seem to be a prisoner. We met that ragged old man last time, but he was clearly a captive. Obviously, humans have as much chance of being evil in fighting fantasy as goblins and orcs do. But, I don't know, he's just minding his own business. So, I'm a little more optimistic that he might actually not want to kill us. So, let's be polite and knock on his door and see what happens. The old man's eyes flutter open. He sees you and grabs for a half-oar lying by his bench. You tell him you mean him no harm, but he remains on guard and eyes you cautiously. As you would if you're woken up by someone armoured and carrying a huge spear walking into your house while you're asleep. Although he looks harmless enough, his dog could be dangerous. The man's boots are undone. What's the significance of his unlaced boots? Rush the dog with your weapon drawn, ask the man about the mountain, or point out that his boots are undone. I'm really puzzled / bewildered by the significance of the boots here, so I'm going to point out his unlaced boots just to see what that's all about. The old man thanks you and rather sheepishly ties up his boots. You explain that you mean no harm and he calms down, calling off his dog. So I suppose he took that as a gesture of our niceness, our friendliness to him, but as it says there on that achievement, made you look, he could very easily have taken it as a distraction and us trying to divert his attention so we can stab him in the face. But he trusted us, and now we seem to be buddies. This area is the only passageway through to the inner chambers. Some years ago, the river swelled after a particularly severe spring thaw and cut off supplies from the outside world. Okay. All the area's inhabitants starved to death. Well, that came out of nowhere. But the Master, realising he needed defences against the outside world, put a curse on the area. So, all the people who lived here starved to death, and then the Warlock, to respond to everyone starving to death, cursed whoever was left. That seems like bad management. The last remaining creatures became the undead, and now guard the passageways through. He starts to inquire about you. Well, we are currently drinking a fresh cup of tea. So do we tell him that we're on a quest? Do we thank him for his conversation and leave? Or do we grab his keys and run? I mean, the keys would probably be useful. Presumably, they open something which we might need to go through at some point. But he's been nice to us. I don't necessarily want to grab his stuff and leg it. Thanking him for the chat and leaving seems unproductive, though. Oh, thanks for that information. It was nice talking to you. Bye. But on the other hand, I'm reluctant to tell him that we're questing. I mean, what if he's on the payroll of the Warlock? You know what? Let's do it. Let's come clean with him and say, well, actually, we're a questing adventurer. When you begin talking, he becomes angry and bids you begone. He'll have nothing to do with adventurers. His dog senses his anger and snarls menacingly. So he is on the Warlock's payroll. Oh well, at least he hasn't outright attacked us yet. So we could just say, okay, well, thanks for your time, and leave. Or we could try to calm him down. Well, he said he wants nothing to do with adventurers, and we've already given that game away, so I don't know what we could do to try and calm him down. It seems to me that if we try to pacify him, then we'll end up having to pacify him by force. And although I do want his keys, I don't necessarily want to murder a guy who was just sitting here minding his own business when we came in. So, let's slightly sheepishly excuse ourselves. It's not necessarily the most practical option, but it's the good option. So, do we now want to head into the big building to the north, or the slightly smaller one northeast, or head to the building that's next to the bridge. We no longer have the option to cross the bridge, curiously. Unless I'm just overlooking that option, because it's been pointed out that I overlooked an option to retreat from the training room last time. If you've ever tried to do a Let's Play or streamed or anything like that, then you will know that commentating takes up at least half of your attention, and it's so easy to miss things when you're playing. I play worse when I'm recording than at any other time, because half of my attention goes on this constant yammering. So it's entirely possible that I'm actually completely overlooking an option to cross the bridge here, but I don't think there is one. Well, there's, again, the two bigger buildings seem like they might open up onto something more extensive. So I want to check out this other small building before we move on. So we'll toddle over to the building that's next to the bridge/pier. What's in here? You head towards the wooden building. The only means of entry appears to be a solid-looking wooden door. This shack with the sort of bridge/pier made of planks and the crummy-looking boats reminds me a little bit of Morrowind. It's all a bit run down and squalid. A sign above the door reads Boathouse. The door is firmly locked, but a small barred window allows you to look inside. You can see a number of skeletons working on building a boat of some sort. So, the Warlock is such a taskmaster that even death doesn't constitute a reason not to show up to work. They move in a series of quick, jerky actions, rather insect-like. So I'm now picturing them as classic stop-motion skeletons, like Harryhausen skeletons. We don't have a boathouse key. That may be one of the keys we could have taken from the old guy's house. But we didn't do that, so we could bust the door down, or leave. I don't really see the point in kicking the door in only to then presumably have to fight the boat-building skeletons. I mean, being fighting fantasy, it's entirely possible that there's actually a vital treasure hidden in there. Treasure hidden in innocuous locations is a fighting fantasy thing, particularly an early fighting fantasy thing. But I don't necessarily want to get into it with those skeletons. I mean, we're not much better than half stamina at the moment anyway. So let's retreat back to the riverbank. And instead pick one of these bigger buildings. I feel like the huge structure is the most likely path towards the Warlock, but I'm curious about the slightly smaller one. Still imposing, but a bit smaller. That looks like a haunted mansion or something. You follow the faint sandy path leading to an imposing building in the cave wall. While not as large as the building to the north, it is nonetheless magnificently grand. It towers above you. Well, any building should tower above me, really. A building that doesn't tower above me is way too small. It towers above you, and you cannot help but wonder how on Titan the thing was built. Titan, if you're not aware, is the fighting fantasy world. At the top of the steps is a heavy stone door that seems very solid. So do we want to give the door a shove or go back to the beach? Well, I'm not going to be deterred just by a closed door, so let's push the door. Looks like we've gone in. Heaving open the door, it grinds against the floor in protest. Entering, you find yourself in an opulently decorated room. You are overwhelmed by the sight of thousands upon thousands of bottles lining the shelves of the room. Fine carved furniture is placed strategically about the chamber. Strategically? I would have thought decoratively would be the way you'd position furniture, but apparently this furniture's been placed for strategy. Also, the idea that the door grinds against the floor in protest amuses me. I'm imagining the door just stubbornly shoving itself against the floor, going, "No, no, I'm not opening for you." Okay, apparently there's a person here. Evidently the least notable feature of the room, since it hasn't been described yet. Waiting for you inside is a tall woman wearing a long dark gown and a spiked crown. No one wearing a spiky hat is going to be a good news. Some good news in this place. A good news item. Welcome, Lunica Ekadi. Okay, a total stranger wearing a spiky hat and knowing our name can't go well. I am Oriana, the Keeper of Souls. You don't know me, or maybe you do. I can never remember, but rest assured your player does. Oh, we're breaking the fourth wall. Do not be alarmed. I'm here to help you. Well, I am alarmed and I don't believe you. My player knows her. What is that supposed to mean? What is it supposed to mean? Do we know this person? Is she the narrator from the very beginning of the game? Maybe so. So you could ask about the domain of the dead, whatever that is. We could try to buy something, sell something, ask about the Warlock's treasure, or just leave. Well, obviously, I don't want to just leave when we have so many options to do other things. I'm not sure what the domain of the dead refers to, unless it's this whole area which is full of undead, like the old guy told us. I want to see what she has for sale, though. We've been getting souls from our successful combats, and I got the impression that we use those to unlock more characters, but possibly we can buy something with them during the adventure as well. Or maybe she just takes mundane cash. Let's find out. Yep, she just wants money. How mercenary. You ask the Soul Keeper if she has anything for sale. She gives you an unsettling smile. I'm not sure how someone would smile unsettlingly, but I don't like it. Give me some gold and I will give you some gifts. They're not gifts if I'm buying them. She offers you the following. Some lunch, potion of fortune, potion of skill, potion of strength, potion of fire protection. Well, provisions heal us to some extent. I think we've used up 2 of our 3 or 4 that we started with. We threw one of them to some dogs in order to sneak past, and we ate another one when we stopped for a rest. So that's not necessarily a bad idea. Potion of Fortune, I would guess, probably restores spent luck points, but we've only spent 1 so far. But we could well end up spending more, in which case we'll be grateful for this. Potion of Skill, I'm not sure. In Fighting Fantasy, you usually can't increase your skill beyond your starting value. So this could be one that just restores lost skill points rather than boosting what we've got. I'm not sure. Potion of Strength, I would guess, either restores some stamina or possibly gives us some kind of combat bonus or something. I suppose we could gamble on finding out. I'm tempted to take the provisions just for the healing ability, but I think I'm going to take... Well, I mean, the fact that she's selling a scroll of potion of fire protection makes me think we're going to need protection from fire at some point. Let's see if we can at least find out what potion of strength is. No, we just bought it, so no idea what that does. I guess we'll find out when we drink it. There was also something called Maze Jumper, which we couldn't afford. What else do we wish to talk about? We could try and sell her some junk. The potion of strength we just bought. The bull amulet. I mean, we might actually need the bull amulet, for all we know. But it doesn't appear to do anything. But I think probably the only point in selling it would be if we were going to buy something new. We could buy provisions, probably. Maybe we do that. We sell the bull amulet. And then we go back and buy some lunch. Talk about something else. Okay, now we're done with our transactions. Why don't we ask about the domain of the dead? What can you tell me about the domain of the dead? You ask the Soul Keeper. She pauses for a moment, but her face remains expressionless and without emotion. A place cursed by Zagor, created to provide an army of restless souls, each of which will endlessly guard his inner sanctum. I find it to be a useful location to be near, considering my line of work. However, I am not without my own protection. Many so-called heroes have become nothing more than tortured spirits to guard the Warlock's treasure. I would advise you to be prepared. Well, we're trying. Let's ask her about the Warlock's treasure. Zagor is rumoured to have a hoard of treasure. Do you know anything about it? You ask Oriana. She raises an eyebrow quizzically, then answers. Ah yes, of course. The Warlock guards his treasure well. It is kept under lock and key within a magical treasure chest. He never keeps the 3 keys with him, instead choosing to cast a spell on them. Each key is securely guarded and changes position within the mountain each time someone enters. The more keys used to open the chest, the greater the reward within. So I think this is another nod to the original book. I'd forgotten about this, but now I'm reading it, some memories are coming back. That in the Warlock of Firetop Mountain book, the treasure chest is locked with several locks, and you need to find all the keys on your way through the dungeon in order to open the chest at the end. And if you don't have the keys, you just sit down on the chest and cry, if memory serves. It sounds like this one is a bit less harsh in that you'll just get diminishing rewards with fewer keys. We did find something called Zagor's Key in the previous episode, so I would guess we found one of the keys to the chest, so that's something at least. Unfortunately, I've not seen any of the keys on my travels. Perhaps you speak to me again when you make another journey through the mountain. That's something interesting that she mentioned here, actually, that the locations of the keys change each time someone enters. Which makes me think that when you choose a different character, the key will be in a different place. I don't know whether it will be consistent between different attempts with the same character or not, but it's interesting and a nice touch that the keys won't be in the same places if you bring a different character in. Let's see if we can open our bag. We haven't done this yet. We have 4 gold left. We haven't used any of the resurrection stones. Spear, dagger, 4 portions of lunch, potion of strength. Again, doesn't tell us what it does, but we can use it from here. Lantern, backpack, rope. Curiously, it doesn't mention the key. Ah, there we go. Scroll down, Zagor's Key. Blue candle, fire vial, which we snaffled from that elementalist's office. So yeah, I would guess that Zagor's Key is one of the 3 keys to his treasure. We've done our buying and selling, we've talked about everything there is to discuss, so let's be on our way. You bid the Soul Keeper goodbye. Her presence makes you somewhat uneasy, and you are eager to leave. Goodbye, Lunica Arcadi, she says. I know we shall meet again, if not during this adventure, then during your next one. Not understanding what she means, you leave for the large stretcher set into the cave walls. I'm glad we came into this little building, because that was actually fairly informative, and we could very easily have not come in here. So the only option we have left is walk to the huge structure to the north. Again, we never regained the option to cross the bridge. We only had that right at the beginning, which is a little curious. So let's go in here in search of the Warlock's lair. You walk along the sand to the massive structure. A set of stone steps leads upwards into the structure itself. Near the steps, a path leads west to a tower leading upwards on the side of the main structure. So do we want to go to the front door or go into this tower? I feel like it might make sense to go into the tower in search of a less obvious entrance, or maybe even something that will be useful when we go in there. Plus, towers are cool, so let's go and do that. So we'll toddle up here. You decide to walk westwards and reach the tower. The sandy path continues until you reach some stone steps that lead upwards. Just as you're about to climb the steps, you suddenly feel angry about being here within Firetop Mountain chasing some vague quest. Well, it was your idea, Lunica. You wanted to come here looking for this amulet. Don't get awkward about it now. Arrgh, this place is really getting to me, says Lunica to herself. That silly amulet will be the death of me. I should just leave it. Something strange seems to be happening to you, and it seems to be getting worse. Your anger and frustration increases. This place is affecting you somehow. So there's presumably some kind of irritation spell cast here. Oh, -1 luck. So we're so annoyed that we became more unlucky. Well, we've come this far. I'm not going to turn away having paid that price and not see what's in the tower. So let's continue inside. A light glows from the tower entrance. Walk towards the light. And the tower's lifting out of the way in the display there, which is a nice touch. You walk through the opening, and before you know it, you've stumbled upon a set of spiral stairs. The stairs are cracked and old, and do not seem to be held up by any supporting structure. That doesn't sound safe. Your thoughts are starting to become darker and more sinister. More left-handed the further in we go. Someone is going to feel my wrath soon. I can feel it. Oh, more luck. Okay, so we're actually losing more luck the further we go into this tower. So the question now is whether we keep going. Is it the sunk cost fallacy? This thing where you think I've paid this much already, I might as well see it through. When often it's better to cut your losses and leave. Well, again, like I kept saying last time, we're an adventurer. It's a fundamentally dangerous occupation, so let's keep going. Plus, we actually haven't had to use our luck that much so far. You climb up the stairs, which seem to go on forever. Step by step, you climb further up the dank tower until you reach an alcove where you can catch your breath. Suddenly, a raspy voice makes you jump in shock. Hello there, kind stranger. Do you have a moment to spare for a hungry beggar? Any kind of food will do. The gaunt, tired man with sunken eyes and scraggly hair is staring at you, expectingly. I'd say expectantly, myself. Okay, so he wants us to give him a sandwich. Oh, now we have to test our luck. Now that's just a cheap shot, sapping our luck on the way in and then making us test it. But we have to see if we're lucky enough to be able to resist the urge to murder this poor, helpless beggar. Pathetic creature should die. What am I thinking? Must control my thoughts. So we'll have to roll the dice and hope to get 7 or less. Come on. Ooh, 7. Just barely past it. So we have the option to give him some food. In fact, we don't have any options. We have to give him food. But at least we don't have to murder him, which was the other possibility. The only food we have to offer is a portion of our provisions, so we'll do that. You hand the beggar a portion of your provisions. He gratefully accepts and eagerly wolfs it all down. It's clear that the poor man is starving. Wonderful, he says. I'm sorry that I cannot give you anything in return, but you have my thanks. You say goodbye to the beggar. Be careful, he warns. There are much more dangerous things in the domain of the dead other than myself. I believe you. It's a shame that we didn't get anything out of that, but at least morally we managed to avoid murdering a helpless innocent. You leave the beggar and head towards the stairs to continue upwards. Hopefully we don't keep losing luck points as we climb up the tower here. That would be unpleasant. You continue up the staircase, which seems to have no end. The stone crumbling masonry, again slightly odd phrasing, causes you to slip many times, nearly causing you to tumble all the way down the tower. Thankfully, you're able to right yourself. This place really needs to be maintained by the National Trust. Which is a reference that might not make sense to anyone outside the UK. You stop and rest at a crumbling alcove. A daunting stone statue of an imposing warrior looms over you. Well, we're an imposing warrior as well. I'm not intimidated by this statue. They stand stern but proud, sword planted into the ground. It feels as though the statue is on guard, warding off the domain of the dead's evil spirits. I'm still struggling to control my thoughts. A rage is taking me over. Ah, test your luck again. So now we have to get 6 or less on 2 dice, which is not great odds. It's basically 50-50. So now I can see why the Soul Keeper was selling a luck potion, because that would be really handy here. I suspect we're going to fail this one. Oh, we just about made it again, but now our luck's down to 5 because we lose a luck point every time we have to test it. So we'll kneel in front of the statue instead of, I guess, stabbing it, which was what would have happened if we'd been overtaken by our rage. Despite wanting to destroy this statue, you maintain composure and kneel down in front of it. You close your eyes and feel a pleasant, calming feeling wash over you. Your whole body feels completely invigorated and you feel completely refreshed. Restored! What does that do? Ah. Oh, right, so these are some of our stats then. We actually got all of our stats back. Our luck's back to full, our stamina's back to full. If we'd lost any skill, that would be back to full as well. Excellent. That's actually a really nice statue. The statue must be magical. With renewed vigour and no sign of the anger you felt previously, you prepare to continue up the tower. So that could have gone a lot worse. if we had lost control of our temper and smashed the statue, not only would we have lost a luck point for having to test our luck, as we did anyway, but we presumably wouldn't have been reinvigorated by the statue's effects. So that actually worked out really well. We were lucky indeed. I'm slightly concerned by the arcane symbols on the wall. You follow the steps further up the tower. Soon you notice an eerie blue glow emanating from further up the stairs. As you get closer, the light becomes more intense. You reach the source of the light. Set in the stone is eerie, spidery writing. Each letter gives off an intense blue glow, and the words seem to shift, slightly shift as you look at them, giving you a slight headache. Yeah, my handwriting has that effect on people as well. Do we want to try and read it? Hit the inscription with your weapon. This writing's giving me a headache. I'm going to punch it. I'm inclined to read it because it could be important, but it's already giving us a headache, which concerns me a bit. It might actually hurt us. But let's try. You try to focus on the arcane words, clear your throat, and read them out. I'm not going to read those out because those are not real words. Actually, this double L thing, I live in Wales, so I would pronounce that llyd. Okay, so there's just some unintelligible text here. Apparently we read them aloud, though. Suddenly you reel back in pain. Your mouth tastes like copper, and your head feels as though it is full of cotton wool. You try in vain to focus, but it is no use. The words you have read must have been some kind of curse. I knew it! I knew reading it was going to be a bad idea. -1 skill. So, reading the wrong thing made us clumsy. Feeling hazy and dim-witted, you nonetheless press on. Great. So, don't read things that you see written on the wall. My favourite thing that I've seen written on a wall was some graffiti I saw in Palermo in Sicily that just said, Blair. Okay, you continue to climb further up the stairs. You pass a crack in the wall, oozing an unpleasant smelling slime. Oozy walls. That's a bad sign. The goo is slowly forming a pool on the floor. Suddenly, there is a rumbling. There's an explosion of brick and masonry as hideous slime worms burst out of the wall. I think I've rented this house. You count 3 of them as they writhe towards you. These horrific beasts, long dead, have been reanimated by the slime itself. The creatures snake towards you with frightening speed. Well, I guess, more accurately, they worm towards us, since they're worms. So, these are undead worms, which have been reanimated by slime. Look at these things! They're bigger than people. This looks very unpleasant. I just don't want these to touch me. I'm not even because they might hurt me, just for hygiene reasons. As usual, I was too busy being intimidated by the appearance of these beasties to notice if they wobbled and thus are going to attack. So to be on the safe side, let's back up away from them. Okay, 2 of them did attack, so that was the right call. Let's continue staying away from them for now. Okay. Alright, none of them wobbled this time, so they're all going to be moving. From here, we're not in range to attack anywhere that they might go to, unless they're able to move 2 spaces. We have no information about that. So, let's step up here and try to be in position for a future attack. Okay, they all wobbled, so they're all going to be taking a swing at us this time. So, I would guess that only the nearest one is in a position to reach us. I think probably the others are too far away. So the question is whether we move out of the way or try to attack back and risk getting into a clash. Our skill is higher, so the odds would be in our favour in a clash. Of course, it may not result in a clash if it decides to attack where it thinks we're going to go rather than where we are now. You know what, let's try it. Let's try a poison strike against this worm. Oh, wow. Okay. One of them did manage to hit us, and it looks like it poisoned us as well, which is bad. So they actually have long range, because we attacked the one that's nearest to us, but that didn't result in a clash, which means the one that hit us wasn't that one. So these worms actually do have really long range on their attacks, which is kind of a problem. We're now not going to be able to attack these again without moving closer to them, because our poison strike is on cooldown. So I think we need to get out of the way here. Yeah, so that one at the top looks like it attacked 3 spaces away. That is extremely unpleasant. We're going to have to move closer to try and land some more hits. I'm not happy at all about taking poison damage here. If we stay where we are going to take hits from at least one of them, if not 2, I would guess. I mean, again, it's possible they might attack another space in anticipation of us moving. We could back away, but we would probably still be in range of them anyway. So maybe we move aside and hope that none of them attack that space. Or maybe we try to attack the worm that's right in front of us. See if we can finish it off. I don't like these options at all. Let's try and stab this worm. Okay, we did take a hit. We inflicted a hit, but we took one as well. Let's move up here. No, they're just absolutely pummeling us. This time they're not going to attack, which is something. So maybe we can finish off this worm down here. It moved. Damn it. I think this might actually be the end of Lunica Accardi here. As far as I know, we don't have any way to heal during combat. We don't seem to be able to access our bag. Let's sidestep and hope that the one that's nearest to us doesn't swing in this direction. It did. They're all going to attack again. I think we're probably not in a line of attack for the other 2 worms, but this closest one could come for us. So let's attack it. No, left slash would just hit an empty space. So let's do a normal attack on that. This time it's a clash, and we roll rubbish. Okay, let's try and back out of the fray here. Okay. They're all going to attack, which means we could take a hit from this one along the bottom, and we could take a hit from the one that's closest. I think we need to move out of the way of the bottom one and hope that the close by one doesn't attack this space. Okay, no hits for once. Same again, let's try and move out of their way. Okay, that one did correctly anticipate where we were going. I think we're not going to have to be concerned about the further away too. Let's see if we can finish off this one that's right here. It moved! It was a trick. I think either of these 2 that are closest to us could hit us if we move. I think one of them will attack where we are, and one of them will attack the only space we can move to. So I think if we move, then we're going to take a hit from one or the other of them. So the only chance we have is to attack the nearest one and hope that we get a clash and win it. Okay, we killed that one. These 2 are both going to attack. So again, the one that's closest to us could attack any of the spaces where we could be here. The further away one could attack in either of the spaces we might move to, but I don't think it can get us here. So once again, the safest play is probably to try and cause a clash against the closest one. So let's try it. It is a clash. Come on, roll well for once. Yes, we won. So the main thing is that we avoided taking damage, because we only have 1 stamina left. 1 hit will kill us. I think we need to try the same thing again. It's another clash. Roll well, roll well. We won it again. We still haven't killed the thing. Okay, they're both moving this time. So I think the nearest worm is probably going to walk in front of us. It could go off to our side though. But either way, it shouldn't be able to hit us. Let's try attacking the space in front of us here. Oh, it moved away. That I did not see coming. This is kind of a problem, because if we move at all, then we could take a hit from either one of the worms. And if we stay where we are, we will almost certainly take a hit from the worm that's straight in front of us. So I think we need to throw out a poison strike and hope that we get a clash. We do. Good roll, good roll. Yes, it was enough. Okay, apparently the worms are immune to poison anyway. I suppose that makes sense since they're poisoning us. That's a very RPG thing to do. They have poison attacks, so they're immune to poison attacks. It would be nice if that was the case for us, but no. We're facing the same dilemma again here, except we don't have Poison Strike anymore. I think the only thing we can do, really, is move to the side and hope that the worm over there doesn't attack us. Lunica Accardi is slain by some poisonous slime worms. An ignominious end to a promising run. It was actually going reasonably well for a large part of that adventure, at least in the previous episode. And I was optimistic once we got that restorative statue that we might be in good shape heading forward, but a battle against 3 enemies that can all poison us was just too much to deal with. Possibly I could have played that fight better. I maybe made some hasty decisions there, but the fact that they can inflict poison and they have a range of 3 on their attacks meant that we were facing an uphill struggle right from the outset, trying to deal with those. Let's continue and see what that reveals for us. Oh, that's right, we have resurrection stones. So we can start from the last bench we went to. Okay, we haven't seen a bench for a while, but it looks like it's starting us from the top of the tower instead. Oh dear, it looks like the mountain has claimed yet another victim. Would you like to use a resurrection stone and return to the last bench? Oh, okay. So the bench will set us back quite a long way. So do we want to do that? I think the last bench we saw was actually before we even found the elementalist, so we've got a lot of ground to cover doing this. Let's give it a go and see how we do resurrecting at the bench. Okay. So, this was where we got 10 stamina back when we sat down to have lunch. Okay, yeah, so this was at the entrance to the School of Sorcery, so we definitely have some ground to recover here. We ignored these doors on the way through previously, but I'm inclined to actually try exploring them a bit more now that we know more about what's coming up ahead of us, and see if we find anything that might actually help us deal with the stuff that's laying ahead. We may even find more of the Zagor keys, so let's have a snoop around. So we actually haven't even found the amulet this time. We've gone back to before that happened. I feel like the benches are maybe too few and far between here, because we've actually lost quite a lot of progress. As you push open the door, scents of earth and grass waft towards you. You enter the room and close the door behind you, following the steps down to the room below. In the centre of the room floats a large ball of rock that glows with an ethereal energy. At the other side of the room is someone in a green robe with golden trim hunched over a bench. So this area is, I think, the School of Sorcery, so presumably we're going to find students and academics hanging out in here. A Solanian earth element. It must have taken a lot of energy to bring this to the earthly plane. I assume that's probably meant to be elemental. Suddenly a gigantic stone hand appears and rushes to attack you. The Master of Earth turns around, annoyed. How dare you enter Robin of Ormond's domain? Leave now, or you shall regret it. So we can start stabbing the stone hand, or leave. Given how badly we just fared in a fight, my instinctive reaction is to just back out of the room and not bother, but there's a possibility that there might actually be something cool hiding in here, so let's fight the hand and see what happens. Without a second thought, you strike the stone hand. The Master of Earth is furious. Typical adventurers, always poking their noses and spears where they don't belong. Another stone hand skitters out from the shadows and he urges his creations forward to attack. You prepare for battle. Now, I have met some cranky academics, but none of them have sent animated stone hands to attack me. His study is very stony. I mean, he's just got big rocks all over the place, but no chair. Doesn't seem like the most comfortable place to study. Okay, so we're facing two of these stone hands. The elementalist himself doesn't appear to be part of the fight. So, these both have skill 5, stamina 4. Stamina 4 means that 2 hits will take them out. As usual, I didn't notice whether they wobbled or not, so let's just poke our spear at the nearest hand. It's a clash, so it was attacking us. It rolled better than we did, but because it only has a skill of 5 and ours is 9, we actually won the clash anyway. It looks to me like they're both moving, so I'm going to guess that it's moving towards me and it's going to come alongside, so let's attack that space. Success! One hand destroyed. I think the other one's going to move closer as well, so let's attack here. Good. It wobbled, so it's going to attack us this time. Let's back out of the way and then maybe hit it with a poison strike next time. If we can get it to move in close enough. Although maybe we can't poison something that's made of stone. Let's stay where we are to pass the turn, which means we'll need to attack. Okay, it's attacking. Let's poison strike it and see what happens. Okay, it's a clash. And we won. It is indeed immune to poison, so we only did 1 damage there. The fact that it was a clash makes me wonder whether it has a 2-space attack or not. That concerns me a little bit. Let's move away. Be cautious. It's attacking. It's probably going to attack directly at us. I mean, maybe it expects us to move closer alongside it, but I feel like we have enough of a skill advantage over it that we're probably going to win a clash. So let's just swing straight at it. Yeah, we rolled really well. Excellent. That was a nice, easy fight. Much better than the 3 slime worms. Okay, we lost no stamina, we gained 6 souls. You have defeated the Stone Hands. With a final attack, you shatter the Stone Hand into pieces. They crumble into dust. The Master of Earth looks at the remains and sighs. Months of work gone. Magical creations don't grow on trees, you know. What do you want, anyway? I wonder if this elemental master knows the whereabouts of the Amulet of Ashrae or Cospen Minamin. Well, we actually know from our previous life where Cospen and the amulet are. Or at least we know where Cospen is, and we know that the amulet he has isn't the real one. So there's probably no point in asking, but he may give us something useful or something. He dumps a pile of scrolls and junk into your arms. Ashrae? I don't deal with that nonsense here, and I wouldn't know what that fool Cospen has been up to. This laboratory is dedicated to the worship of Throff. Here, take these. He turns his back on you. The scrolls are apparently intended to indoctrinate you into the worship of the goddess of Earth and are complete nonsense. But the junk includes a glowing green vial. You decide to keep it. And we're going to leave the room. I wonder what the glowing green vial is. Green is a colour that I usually associate with things like poison and acid in games. But it says Earth Vial ×2, so I guess maybe it's going to be something that will help us with Earth-based enemies or something like that. We don't seem to have the option to use it, though. So I'm not really sure how that would work. Okay, what does the compass do if we click on that? Oh, it just describes the area to us. Okay. Again, we walked past this door the last time, so let's poke our head in and see what happens. You open the door with some difficulty. Gusts of wind breeze past your face as you enter, and the door slams shut behind you. Well, that's never a good sign. You enter what must be the home of a Master of Air, a sorcerer who dabbles in the arcane lore from the elemental plane of air. So this school is just full of people studying the different elements. Hopefully this guy doesn't attack us on sight like the last one. A tornado surrounds the room, and fire spouting from the braziers dances in the wind. A variety of papers also flutter and flap in the breeze. A strange room of air magic. I must be on my guard. You walk over to who you assume is the Master of Air. A pet hawk is perched on her arm, and she wears a pair of fine glasses. She greets you. Ah, another would-be adventurer come to destroy Zagor. I don't really bother with adventurers, but the maze should finish you off. She pauses. Unless you know anything about a bronze amulet dedicated to the cult of Barbarius, you have no business here. Oh, the bull amulet. Now, if you recall from earlier on, we sold the bull amulet to the Soul Keeper, but of course that hasn't happened yet since we died and revived. So it looks like there's actually a purpose to the bull amulet. So let's brandish this at this air acolyte. You mean like this? You say, showing her the amulet. That's a bit smug and cocky. Oh, you mean like this amulet? The Master of Air gasps. That's it exactly! Where on earth did you find it? Give it to me! Do we want to hand it over or not? I mean, we don't really know what to do with it other than sell it. So it may not be much use to us. So maybe we should give it to her and maybe she'll give us something good in exchange. Alternatively, there might be a place later in the dungeon where it's actually useful. Let's hand it over and see what happens. You clutch the amulet. I also seek an amulet, the Amulet of Ashrae. The Master frowns. I don't know about that particular artifact, but this is the School of Sorcery. I guarantee that one of my colleagues will know something about it. She holds out her hand. Surely you have no use for this homely necklace. A homely bull necklace. You shake your head. I won't leave empty-handed. Fine, the Master huffs. I can spare an air vial and this magical ring, which when worn will fill your lungs with air when you most need it. They're very valuable if you know what to do with them. You think this is a fair trade, so you accept. I'm guessing that that magical ring might actually help us not take stamina damage when we're thrown into the river in a few minutes' time. I don't know how to use these elemental vials, though. We have earth vials, and now we have air vials as well, but we don't seem to be able to use them from our bag. So I'm not sure what we're going to do with them, really. Okay, she asks us to leave, so we do. We put the ring on and return to the junction. We could have come back out here without putting the ring on, but considering we're about to be thrown into a river, I think it makes sense to wear it. So this is where we find Cospen in his office with the door with the flame carved on it. So we know that once we open this door, we're going to have to fight a couple of salamanders. There's no way around that because Cospen is who we're here for. Once again, he's going to warn us about the salamanders as we step inside. I'm not going to read through all of this again because we dealt with it last time. The salamanders run towards us and he yelps, "Watch out for the salamanders!" And we're going to fight them. Okay. So, I seem to remember that last time round we got through this without taking any hits. So hopefully we'll do okay at that again. It looks like they're both going to attack us, so we can't move out of the way because our only move options are closer to them, which will presumably just keep us in harm's way. So let's poison strike this one at the bottom. And it's a clash. It was a draw. Interesting. So actually neither of us hurt the other. The other one hit us and set us on fire though, which seems to have basically the same effect as poison. This did not happen last time. So this concerns me a bit. Poison strike is on cooldown, so we're not going to be able to attack either of these at range. Again, if we move, then we're probably going to take a hit anyway. So let's just attack the space in front to pass the turn. Okay. They didn't wobble this time, so they're both moving. They won't necessarily move closer, but I'm going to gamble that one of them will. So let's take a swing at this space. There we go. Yeah, interestingly, they're actually behaving completely differently from the way they did last time. They're both going to attack us, which means we are going to take a hit from one or the other of them this time. And really the only option we have is to get into a clash with the one we've already hurt and try and land another hit on it. We can't do 3 stamina damage. Now in the books, in the Fighting Fantasy books, in combat you can choose to make a luck roll in order to inflict more damage on a successful hit. That doesn't seem to be an option here. Which is a shame, because doing that would enable us to finish off this fire salamander in one hit. But we don't have that option, so instead we will just have to stab it. It's a clash, hopefully we win. No. So if they're just going to clump around us like this, these salamanders could actually result in Lunika's second death here. And they're still just sticking to us like glue. We've got no way of getting out of the way, so all we can do is the same again. And this fire damage we're taking is very unpleasant. The salamanders are both moving, so they're moving away, but of course we can't really tell which direction they're going in. The one above that we've been damaging looks like it's moving directly away, but it could be sidestepping. On the assumption that it might be moving away, I'm going to poison strike directly ahead. Success! Okay, so that's something. I think this one wobbled, so it's probably going to attack us. Let's back away. Okay. And it's attacking again. So let's just pass the turn. And then it's going to move. Has Poison Strike recovered yet? It has not. So we could move closer so that we're in a position to attack next turn, but I suspect it will be attacking us next turn as well. So then we'd have a clash. And because we have the same skill as the salamander, it's basically a 50-50 chance. So I think we just pass the turn by stabbing at empty space here. And it's going to attack. So we're probably going to have a clash here if we attack it. So let's back up. I don't know though, because then we'll be out of range for an attack. We could poison strike it, but that will probably result in a clash. So there's as much chance of us taking a hit as it taking one. Let's sidestep over here. And hopefully next time it moves... Oh wow, it would have hit us anyway. That was a range 3 attack. I didn't know the salamanders had one of those. It looks like it's going to attack again, so we'll just pass the turn. And then hopefully it'll move forward into this space the next time. It didn't wobble, so it's going to move, and hopefully it'll step forward. So let's stab this space. Okay, that worked out. It's going to attack... Could be the space we're in, could be one of the ones it thinks we're going to. So let's back up over here, sort of to our right, the way we're facing, because I don't think it has an attack that can hit that space. Okay, it's going to attack again. So we'll pass the turn by attacking. And it's going to move. And the only place it can move towards us is straight ahead. Of course, it could back up. But let's land an attack, or try to land an attack here. Good. And based on its previous patterns, I think it's probably going to try and bite us where we're standing right now. So we'll move back. Yeah. And then it's probably going to breathe fire, I guess, to the side of us. So we'll pass the turn. Oh, it didn't do that. And this time it's moving. So let's attack the empty space and finish it off. Okay. We took a lot of damage, but at least we won. I don't know how we managed to beat them without taking any hits last time. Okay. The salamander gives a guttural roar and its fire extinguishes. So, Cospen is going to scurry over to us and have a go at us for killing his salamanders. We're asking him for the Amulet of Ashrae, and he's going to disdainfully toss it to us, like he did last time. On the way out of the room, we pocket a fire vial, as before. And once we get outside, bad things will happen. We start to not feel right. We notice the rubies on the amulet have started darkening, it becomes cold to the touch, and we are paralysed. And this is the bit where we get thrown back in the river again. And Cospen tells us that Zagor has taken the amulet from him. So, some orcs chuck us in the river. Okay. Hopefully this time that ring we got from the air elementalist will actually stop us drowning slightly. Your head breaks water and you gasp for air. You're being washed along a dark subterranean river into the unknown. The coldness of the water seems to have awoken you from whatever foul curse has been placed on you. Okay, we're still semi-paralysed and helpless. So we can try to fight to tread water. I seem to remember that last time we did this we had to make a skill check. The thing is, though, we now have the option to sink beneath the water, which makes me wonder if that's how we activate the ring. So let's try it. You let your body sink into the dark depths of the river, swallowing large amounts of water as you do so. The ring on your finger that you were given earlier suddenly begins to get hot, almost painfully so, and instead of gagging, you find yourself breathing normally. True to her word, the Master of Air did give you a magical ring to help you breathe underwater. The effects of the paralysis have almost worn off, and with renewed confidence you begin swimming. Somewhere to your left you can see a light, some large structures, and a beach. So, we're back on the beach again, where we started off the episode. And this time, although we didn't take any damage, again, we read this quite recently, so I'm going to just click through it. Although we didn't take any damage from drowning this time, we're actually worse off than last time because of all the damage we took against the salamanders. So the question now is whether we want to do this differently than we did the previous time. The one thing we didn't get a chance to do the last time was walk across the bridge, so let's start there. And we're going to toddle straight past the boathouse. And stepping onto the rotting bridge, you feel a plank of wood groaning from your weight. With lightning reflexes, you step from one plank to the next, quickly avoiding the decayed wood as it snaps. I'm not sure this is a good idea and I don't want to end up in the water again. I'm going to head back to the beach and choose another place to move on to next. So that was a dead end anyway. That was underwhelming. So we could kick in the door to the boathouse and probably have to fight the boat building skeletons. We could go and check out the old man's shack. Maybe we do that and I don't know, maybe we can be more aggressive this time. I mean, he is basically just minding his own business, but on the other hand, he made it clear that he doesn't like our kind. And he had some keys which maybe could be useful. So let's start there, let's go to the shack. It was where we started last time, and we'll start here again this time. We'll go in, we know who's in there, it's a sleepy old dude. Bunch of keys hanging on the wall, old man in rags, with an angry dog. Okay. So what are our options? So we can wake him up, which is what we did the last time, or we can stab the dog, or we can leave. So I couldn't remember whether we had the option to just try and snaffle the keys, but we don't. So the old man, I seem to remember, seemed like he wasn't going to be a threat himself, and the dog is the danger. So if we're going to try and take the keys, we could murder the dog. Oh, I think when we spoke to him, we had the chance to grab the keys and run, right? So let's wake him up again. Knock on the door, wake him up. Once again, befriend him by saying, excuse me, sir, your boots are untied. And he's going to tell us about the thing with everyone starving to death and then the Warlock reanimating them. The grim history of the town inside Firetop Mountain, I guess. And last time we told him we were on a quest and he didn't like that at all. So this time, let's grab his keys and run like a churl. The dog springs as you move. Its hideous black teeth are coming straight for your throat. 2 meters from you, a blast of fire shoots from its mouth right at your face. So it's a fire-breathing dog. Okay. Well, we have to test our skill, which means we're going to roll 2 dice and try to get 9 or less. Here we go. Ah, so close. So our reflexes are too slow. We're going to take a hit here. Attempting to dive out of the way, your reflexes are unfortunately too slow. A blast of flame sears your skin, and you roar in pain as you feel your flesh sizzle. Ah! -3 stamina! So that's actually more damage than a normal hit. That was very unpleasant. We're down to 5 stamina, which means 3 hits in a combat will take us out. And again, we actually haven't seen a bench. We didn't see a bench after leaving the river here, so we don't have a good way to heal. We can try and scoff down some food, but it won't be as effective as if we do it while sitting on a bench. As we all know, you can digest better when you're sitting down. The hellhound growls threateningly once more, raising its hackles. Wincing at your burn, you ready your weapon and attack. The creature gives a pained yelp from your wound, and the old man becomes furious. You monster! Now you shall meet a real one! Oh, does that mean he's not as helpless as he appears? His eyes turn white with anger. He slowly rises from his seat, and as he stands, he appears to gain in size and stature. He's changing in front of your eyes. He sprouts hair on his face and forearms. His nose lengthens and becomes dog-like. His teeth are pointed. He is a werewolf, and he advances towards you to aid his pet. Oh, great. Fantastic. So we're not just fighting a dog, we're fighting a hellhound and a werewolf with 5 stamina left. This could well be the second death of Lunica Accardi here. I have no idea what attacks either of these have. I would assume that the hellhound is probably going to have a similar attack to the salamanders, some kind of range 2 or 3 breath attack. So I don't necessarily want to go and stand directly in line of sight of it there. So let's step forward, because I think probably neither of them can attack us there. Oh, okay, the hellhound actually has some kind of cone attack, which is not great at all. And we're on fire, which means we're going to die just from passive damage in a couple of turns anyway. Well, let's back away. I think it's probably going to be impossible for us to win at this point, but let's play it out. I don't really know what the best play is. Let's move over here. Okay, so we're not burning anymore, but 1 hit will finish us off. The werewolf, I think, is going to move. I don't think it wobbled, so let's try and hit it with a poison strike. Okay, that worked. I think it didn't wobble again, although I'm not confident. So, let's stab it. Ah, we're clashing. It did wobble. Okay, we actually won the clash, but it still has 3 stamina left, which isn't great. I think the best option we have at this point is to just stand here toe-to-toe and keep wailing on the werewolf and hope we can kill it before the hellhound gets too close. Come on, roll well, roll well. Ah, made it. Okay, so we have actually killed the werewolf. Okay, the hellhound is still in action. But so far, it hasn't demonstrated a range 3 ability that I've noticed. So I think if we stay where we are, we're out of range. So let's just swing at this empty space. Ah, okay, it did indeed have a range 3 attack. Burnt alive by a hellhound. Second death. So, we're going to revive back at that bench again, which means we'll have to go through the School of Sorcery again. Obviously, I'm not going to read through all of that stuff a third time. I don't know why. It took a few clicks before the game noticed that I was resurrecting them. So, here we are back at the entrance to the School of Sorcery. So, I think probably there's not a lot of point in popping into the room with the Earth Elementalist again, this one, and having to fight those stone hands. He gave us a couple of Earth Vials, but since we don't even know what those do, I don't feel like it's worth fighting the hands. So let's just go around the corner. It is worth speaking to this Air Elementalist, though, because we didn't have to fight anything, we just had to give her the Bull Amulet, and we got something that kept us from taking drowning damage. So we'll quickly scoot through this conversation, give her the Bull Amulet, and receive the Air Vials and the magic ring that stops us drowning. We'll head west, and we're going to have that fight with the Salamanders again in a second. So we'll quickly scoot through all of this text here as we encounter Cospen and his pets come and attack us. Now, hopefully, we can avoid taking half of our stamina and damage again. So last time round, they flanked us basically and pinned us in the middle here. So I don't really know what's going to be a good way to do this. They're both attacking in this first turn. So I assume the one at the top is going to shoot at us. The one at the bottom can't shoot at us, I think, because they can only shoot in straight lines. So I would guess it's probably going to swing at this space that's directly below us. So if we stay where we are, we're going to be set on fire, and if we move, we're going to be bitten. But at least, hopefully, the bite won't set us on fire, so that might be the better of the two options. Actually, if this topmost salamander is going to shoot at us, then maybe our best play would be to launch a poison strike and hope that we win the ensuing clash. That's probably the best option, actually, because that gives us a chance of avoiding any damage, whereas I think either of the other possibilities guarantees us damage one way or the other. It's a clash, so it's a 50-50 chance, basically. Of course, we rolled Snake Eyes, so we caught fire anyway. They're both going to attack us again. I think it's probably going to be a melee attack from both of them, because I imagine that they probably have a cooldown on their special abilities like we do, so we probably don't want to move into the space directly in front of the one above us, because it'll be attacking there. But we also don't want to get caught between them like we did last time. So maybe we just have to take this on the chin to get out of this bottleneck. Oh! It actually attacked diagonally, even though we physically couldn't move to that space. Well, it worked out. So, the salamander is going to move. It's possible it might try to move into our space. We saw the troll do that in the previous episode, but I think more likely it's going to go into this empty space over here. So, let's attack there. Okay, that did a hit. It's going to attack us. The question is whether it's going to attack directly or try to anticipate a move. I think it's probably going to come at us directly. And again, the clashes are 50-50, so We don't have great odds if we get into a clash. Let's move aside and hope that it doesn't anticipate us. It did not. Okay, it's going to attack again. So, same dilemma again. Do we move or stay where we are? Let's move. No, it guessed correctly this time. Right, the salamander is going to move. So, let's try and land another hit on it as it moves. We could try and poison strike it to do some passive damage, but it probably makes more sense to just land an attack. Okay, they're both attacking. So if we stay where we are, we're probably going to take a hit from both of them, or at least one. If we attack the one that's next to us, then we could get into a clash. But I think the one behind us is probably, you know, to the sort of south of us here, is probably going to shoot. So our best bet might be to move out of the way and hope that it doesn't guess we're moving. It did not. Okay. And it's going to attack us again. Again, we have no way of knowing which space it's going to attack at. So I think we're going to stab it and hope that works out. It was a clash. Roll well, roll well. That's a good roll. We won the clash. Okay. This salamander's going to attack, so I think the safest play is probably to back away from it. It's attacking again. So it could shoot straight ahead, or it could attack diagonally again. So I think I'm going to just bide my time. And this time it's going to move. So it'll move straight ahead, I think. So we'll attack this space here. Okay. It's going to attack us. It's probably going to come straight at our space, so we'll back up. Yeah. It's probably going to shoot straight ahead. So let's move in closer. And then it's going to move. But the question is it going to sidestep here or walk in front of us? I'm going to... I mean, it's 50-50 chance, really. I'm going to guess it'll go up here. Okay, correct guess. And if we can do one more hit to it, we can finish it off. So far, it has mostly attacked the space that we're actually in. So let's move aside and hope that works out. Well, yeah, let's do that. No, it anticipated us. And I think this time it's probably going to shoot, because that seems to be its pattern. So let's stab it from here. No, it did not. So we get a clash, and it's a draw. No one takes any damage. And this time it's moving. And again, it could go in either direction, but let's pick this one arbitrarily. Okay, good. So we did take a couple of hits, but not as badly as last time. Defeated the salamanders, so we'll race through this chat with Cospen, where he's going to dismissively toss us the fake amulet, and we're going to pocket some of his stuff on the way out of the room. Then we are going to notice something wrong with the amulet and become paralysed and then be chucked in the river. Again, it's kind of a shame that you have to go through the same text again, so much of it again, because the benches are so infrequent. But here we are in the river. So once again, we will intentionally sink under the water and allow the air ring thing to take effect, so we won't take any drowning damage. And now we're going to pitch up on the beach over here. Now, considering we know now that the old man in that house is a werewolf, there's probably no benefit to going in there. I mean, we could launch a surprise attack on the dog, but let's face it, the sound of combat would probably wake the old man up, and he would probably werewolf on us anyway. So my feeling is we probably avoid that place altogether. There isn't really a benefit to going in there, now that we know what he has to say. There was no point following the bridge because that was a dead end. I still think the boathouse skeletons are probably more danger than they're worth. What we could do, actually, is scoff down some lunch to heal ourselves up. So we can use some provisions here. So that got us some stamina back, and we'll do it again. So we're back to maximum health. We're now out of food, but we do know we can buy more from the Soul Keeper over here. So let's go and see the Soul Keeper. Of course, if we're blowing all of our cash on replenishing our provisions, then we probably don't have enough left to get any potions or anything. But I think instead of going into that tower, which we know saps our luck and then leads to that horrible worm fight, which will probably kill us again anyway, I think this time we'll take the main entrance. So, let's replenish our provisions as best we can. Oh, apparently she only lets us buy one set of provisions. That's a shame. There's nothing she wants to buy from us. And she won't let us buy more lunch? Oh, she will. We just have to exit and re-enter every time. Which is an awkward interface choice. Yeah, so we've bought as many provisions as we can. That's probably all of our gold. Oh, we have 9 gold, so not quite enough for a third packed lunch, but fine. We already know the information about the Domain of the Dead and the Warlock's treasure. So there's really nothing more for us to do here. Let's say our goodbyes to the Soul Keeper and head out. Okay, so as I was saying, we know that if we go into the tower, then what will happen is we will start hemorrhaging luck points. We will have to make some luck rolls, which we only barely passed by the skin of our teeth the last time. And then when we get to the top, although we'll be healed up, we will have to deal with that horrible slime worm fight. So, instead of doing that, let's take the front door. And here we're going to head into an area that we haven't seen yet. Hopefully, if we're in luck, we might see a bench. In fact, I think I can see a bench just out of shot there. You follow the steps leading up into the looming building. Looking upwards, you occasionally see golden glints on the ceiling. You wonder if there is a gold vein running through the ceiling of the cavern. The golden glints begin to disappear, followed by a high-pitched shrieking and the heavy sound of leathery wings. Well, that does not sound promising. That wasn't gold, but bats' eyes. So before we can sit at that bench that we can see off to the side there, we're going to have to fight some giant bats. At least we've got back to full stamina thanks to quickly wolfing down a couple of lunches. 3 bats is a problem though. 3 enemies is a problematic number, I think. We don't know what abilities the bats might have. They're not particularly skilled, but they will take 3 hits each to kill, which is bad news. So we probably want to try and poison one of them if we can. They all wobbled, I believe, so they're all going to attack us this time. The question is how many of them can actually land hits. We don't know what abilities they have. This one that's right next to us is going to be able to hit us with a normal attack. The others, I don't know. It really depends on what abilities they have. So, since we... Well, look at it this way. There are only 4 places we can move to. One of them keeps us immediately adjacent to this bat anyway. One of them puts us in a direct line in front of this upper bat, and one of them puts us in a direct line in front of that bat. So if they have any kind of straight ahead projectile attack, then we'll be taking hits there anyway. And of course this movement up here puts us in direct range of 2 bats. So actually I feel like the best play right now is to stay where we are and try to attack the bat that's right alongside us. We can't poison strike diagonally, so let's just do a normal attack. And it's a clash. Hopefully we'll win because we have much higher skill. We did, because the bat rolled garbage. Bats, of course, are not known for their ability to roll dice, having no hands. Okay. I didn't notice whether they wobbled or not, because I was too busy making that crack about the lack of hands. But they all rotated, which makes me wonder if they might be moving. So I'm going to take a swing at the space next to us and hope that this bat moves into it. Oh, interesting. They did all move, but they moved in ways I wasn't expecting. So they're all going to attack again now. 2 of them are definitely in melee range. And again, we don't know if they have projectile attacks, so I can't tell whether the injured one will be able to hit us if we move up here. But that is probably the best play, because if we stay where we are and attack either one of these, then we're going to take a hit from at least the other one, if not both. So let's back up over here. Okay, it looks like they only have melee ranged attacks here. And they're all going to move this turn, so I assume the injured one is going to get out of the way of us here. But I would guess that one or the other of these 2 is going to move into the space that's currently between them. So why don't we poison strike that and hope that we hit one or the other? Oh wow, okay. They all sidled in towards us. So that means they're all going to attack this time. We're probably going to take a hit from at least one of them. So I think the best option we have is to move sort of southwards here, so we're only next to one of them, and hope that that one doesn't attack that space. Excellent. None of them attacked that space. Now they're all going to move, so we need to try and guess where they're moving to. I would guess that out of the 2 of them, one or the other will move into this space that's between them. So let's attack. Okay, that one went there. Now, of course, we're pinned between them, so we're in a position where we're going to be taking 3 attacks. So I let myself get manoeuvred into a corner here. This, I think, is probably the problem with fighting so many enemies at once. So, as with previous occasions when we've been surrounded, I think the safest bet is to try and win a clash against one of them. So we'll do that. In fact, we can use left slash here, because it will actually attack 2 spaces, I think. Win the roll, win the roll. Yes, we rolled a 12, best possible roll. So we did actually hit 2 bats, but of course we took a hit as well. Now they're all going to be moving. I would guess they're all moving directly away from me, so I'm going to Poison Strike. Ah, Poison Strike's on cooldown. Damn. I think none of them are going to be in a position where we attack them. I think they're all going to move away, so none of them will be in range of our normal attack. So let's try and move up to follow one of these bats moving away. Okay, that worked out. So I think we're going to need to have a clash off against this one and see if we can kill it before the others move back in closer again. Win the roll, win the roll, win the roll. It's a draw. Okay, so they're all still alive, and they're moving this time. I assume the bat to the north of us is probably moving either away or sideways, and the others will move towards us. So I'm going to anticipate it moving sideways and attack over here, I think. No such luck. Okay. So once again, there isn't really a good place for us to move to. Although, the bats do seem to mostly attack the space we're actually on, rather than anticipating our movements. So maybe if we move south, we might actually be able to dodge the attacks. Although that then risks us getting surrounded again. Let's try it, and see if we can manage to avoid taking any attacks this time. Okay, that did work. But this time they're all going to move. So I guess these 2 will move away, and the one to the north will move in closer. So let's see if we can Poison Strike that one. Successful Poison Strike, finished it off. So we've finally managed to kill one of these bats. These 2 are both going to move in closer, I think. So let's attack this space diagonally. I mean, the injured bat could go straight across rather than down, but we don't have a way to attack that space anyway, so let's attack diagonally and see if it goes in there. No. Oh, they all attacked. Okay, I lost track of the sequence. I thought that was a move turn. Okay, so this one's a move turn. So, same principle. Okay, excellent. That finishes off that bat. This one is going to attack us. So we could move, because it's probably going to attack where we are, because it's dumb. Or we could attack it and see if we can win the clash. This fight has already dragged on for long enough, so let's see if we can land a hit. Okay. It actually did anticipate our movement for once, which meant we got to land a free hit. It's going to be moving again. I would guess it'll move away from us, so let's move in and try to follow it. Oh, interesting. Not what I expected. Let's stab straight at it. Okay, it's going to move again. Well, since it moved sideways last time, I'm going to guess it'll move sideways again, so let's stab over here. No! It keeps moving in the way I'm not expecting. It's going to attack, but it can't reach us from here, so let's Poison Strike. Okay, so we managed to defeat the bats. We did take a couple of hits, which isn't fantastic, but we did kill them. We gained 15 souls, which is good. Hopefully that means we'll be able to start unlocking some new characters soon. Okay. And with the bats slain, you cautiously continue up the stairs. Thankfully, there are no more creatures lurking in the darkness, and you reach the top safely. Surrounding you is an eerie graveyard. There are gravestones littered about, and trees made from stone cast ominous shadows across the ground. I actually don't see the gravestones. Oh, there they are. They're just below the text box. I'm not convinced that 2 headstones constitutes a graveyard as such. Anyway. Nearby, there is a bench where you may rest. A skull leers at you from an archway. It appears to be the entrance to a crumbling bridge of stairs that traverses a large pit, glowing with an ethereal blue light. So, definitely want to sit on the bench. The feeling of death and decay surrounds you, and you sense that this place is one of an arcane, ancient evil. So, we're going to sit on the bench. We've only lost 4 stamina, so we don't need to eat as well. I think last time we just sat on a bench, it gave us 5 stamina, so that should be enough, I think. You sit down on the bench and rest for a moment. Your aching muscles ease and your tiredness wanes. It is good to take a break on your adventure. Certainly is. 5 stamina back, so we're back to full health. And then continue exploring the graveyard. With the giant bats slain, you cautiously continue up the stairs. I think we've seen that already. Yeah, the eerie graveyard. And actually, we've been playing for quite a while today. It feels like we haven't made a lot of progress, because compared to where we started off today's episode, we've basically just moved to the next room. So we haven't actually pressed that much further into the dungeon. But we have been going for a while today. We've just had to do a lot of retracing our steps. So I think let's leave it there for today. Now that we've had a rest, we've regained some of our stamina, and we're in about as good a position as we can be to deal with this graveyard the next time. So thanks for watching once again, and rejoin me next time when we will make another attempt to press into this dungeon in search of Zagor's house, and then eventually the amulet. We've spent 2 of our extra lives, so I think we only have 1 left. So we can revive 1 more time, and then the next death after that will be final, if I'm understanding it correctly. So, rejoin me next time, and we'll see if we can make a bit more progress into the dungeon of the Warlock of Firetop Mountain. Until then, thanks for watching, as always, and bye for now.